Democrats want to immediately hook them on welfare and turn them into a permanent underclass voting bloc. We could prevent that by assimilating them. Really? Why hasn't assimilation worked so far? Why is it that we have been able to have Jews in our midst for millennia and they haven't assimilated? Maybe this idea of assimilation is Bravo Sierra, and it is. You see, what we have with the races of man are different biospirits. You can think of them as instincts. When you're saying assimilate, assimilate to what? Assimilate to what? That's the unspoken question. It's a premise left unanswered. And if unanswered, you can't even think about the problem. What are they assimilating to? You want people to assimilate, adopt your norms, your values, your, more importantly, expressions, your projections onto society or onto your environment. Those projections in aggregate become a people's culture. And another people cannot assimilate to another animal's instincts. That's why it never works. That's why it never has worked. What you can have is, for example, you could take me and you could go drop me in China. China. By the way, the reason why you want to know whether or not I'm telling the truth about the rank and file of conservatism, patriots, nationalists, and how they are actually at odds with scum like Joel Berry, anti-white scum like this guy, because Trump comes out and Trump says, the people are coming from shitholes, they make shitholes, and the whole population says, yes, we see that everywhere we live. Close the border. Close the border. And they vote for this guy. Overwhelming, biggest turnout in history until a corpse runs a candidate from his basement and then gets the biggest turnout in world history. And that's totally legitimate. Ask CNN. But it was because what I was saying is the absolute truth. The folks, the general population, they know, and they are at odds with their big con. They are at odds with the talking heads, the leadership in the conservative movement. When I am dropped in China, I'm going to look around and I am going to be in a state of what we refer to as numerical diffidence, meaning I am afraid that this giant population around me might decide to get rid of me, might decide to get mad at me, might decide to just think ill of me, and then I won't be able to function in their society. So, because I'm intelligent, I am going to imitate their norms. Imitate their norms. Imitate their behaviors. And they would be able to look at me. Some members of their society would be able to look at me and say, look, he can become a perfect Chinaman just like us. But what's actually happening? I'm imitating. Now, that could go on for whole lifetimes. It could be me and a handful of other white people. And by handful, I don't know how many tens of thousands, whatever. And we could all imitate Chinese norms, Chinese expressions, Chinese values. What would the Chinese put in their front yard? How would the Chinese decorate their houses? And the Chinese could look at me and the other white people in our state of numerical diffidence, imitating the Chinese, and they would say, oh, they're good. They're good folk. They don't cause any problems. Look, they're just like us. They celebrate the same holidays. They even put up bigger displays of our holidays. There's nothing wrong with them. Here's the problem. Here's why a multiracial society has never worked, in my opinion, in the history of the world. I've read a lot of history. You can go check it out for yourself. Because as soon as my people reach a state of what we call numerical courage in Chinese society, we will begin expressing who we are. We will begin changing initially the enclaves that we make into places that look like us, Western. And it would be slow at first. It would be can we get our holiday put on a calendar somewhere, this one holiday? Can we change the way the street lamp looks just a little bit? Can we do, and it would be one little thing after another, as soon as we had numerical courage, which means that we feel like there's enough of us relative to the host population. And this is not, I know we use numerical because that's just the easiest thing to see, but it has to deal with a host of things, whether or not, say, like my group and whether or not we have a religion that makes us proud. That would, of course, enable us to express ourselves sooner than it would if we didn't have such a religion. Another example is the host population. Are they really sort of laid back and they don't care? Because if they're laid back and they don't care, we're going to start expressing ourselves a lot sooner. If they are a little bit more conservative and they want to see their norms everywhere, well, it's going to take more of us before we start pushing back against them. So we would begin making the environment reflect us. And then before you know it, there would be a little west in this city and a little west over in that city. And then a Westman's town over in this one. It would get bigger and bigger. Westman's town over in that big Chinese city. There'd be whole like corridors of the city. It'd be like, there's Westman town. You want to go over there? What do you want to go buy? One of their hot dogs? What do you want to go buy? Some American pie? That's what would happen. And the Chinese environment would be, maybe you could say, yellow erased. Do they accept the moniker yellow? I don't know. Chinese erased in that area? Just like we say white erased? Assimilation is a myth. It doesn't work. It never has worked. Imitation is possible when smart people of a race, of a people, are in the body of another people. And I have met a lot of smart non-white people who act just like they have adopted, and they find the ways of the West superior to the ways of their people and the ways of their country, and they don't want to go back, and on and on. This has been my experience and my opinion. So when conservatism has argued, well, just assimilate, this has always been either a conscious lie or stupidity, pure asininity, born in various measures, depending on the individual, of anti-whiteism. It is purely anti-white to think that the ideas of the West were happen chance, that the ideals of the West were just ideal angels sprinkling these things down upon the West because they were so bigoted or whatever it was. They didn't sprinkle them down on other countries or other peoples, rather. But instead, you're going to get these folks saying assimilation. You know, I've gone to these, and I've seen these videos of these people who go to like these little meetings, these little conservative group meetups as well. And you will see these folks. They'll come in there and they'll have like the latest. I remember back in the day, they'll have like the latest print version of, oh gosh, the different types of different conservative groups over the years. There've been so many. And then they'll actually like read from the title what their thoughts should be. Apparently they're all really good Christians and Catholics. They have fantastic values and they're just waiting to be assimilated. Well, okay, it's been like how many decades since they never got assimilated? How many decades since when they enclave somewhere, they recreate the norms of their people? Nothing wrong with those norms as far as like a galactic measurement is, but as far as where I want to live, a lot wrong with it. If I wanted to live in Tijuana, I'd move there. If I want to live in Nigeria, I'd move there. I don't want to have to, I don't want to travel through Memphis, allusion to another story we're going to cover, to be in Nigeria. All right? I want Memphis to look like me, to look like my people, the people who laid the foundations of the city.